States is sending U.S. taxpayer dollars, and it is giving either intentionally or unintentionally to either Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran. I mean, that just all the enemies of Israel are being supported by U.S. tax dollars. And this is not conspiracy theory. This is stuff that I have tracked down, and you can find it yourself. You can just Google it. If you know what to look for, you'll find it yourself. And I'm going to tell you one of them right now. Yesterday, there was a Palestinian militant who was driving around in Hebron, and he saw some policemen by the side of the road, and he pulled up next to him and went pew, 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 and eliminated 3 Israeli policemen, 2 men and a woman. One of the men had already lost a son in the war on October 7th, and now his family is without the son and the father. They left about 7 kids behind among the 3 of them. Okay, these were policemen out there doing their job, and this guy just drove up and did a drive-by, pew, 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 and just eliminated 3 of them. The IDF mounted a massive operation against to find this guy because he drove off. They eventually found him in a building in Hebron down there in southern West Bank, and they surrounded the building, and they did what's called a pressure cooker on that building, where they just surround it and everybody started shooting at it all at once. Bam, 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 just unloading and throwing grenades in there, and then they eventually shot an anti-tank missile into the building, and they liquidated this guy, and he took the room temperature challenge. They went in and recovered his body, and when they brought it out and identified him, it turns out this guy was a presidential guard, Mahmoud Abbas, the leader of the Palestinian Authority. The presidential guard would be like Secret Service for Mahmoud Abbas. Now, the absolutely maddening thing about that is if you go and do a little research, the United States funds and trains the presidential guard for Mahmoud Abbas. And we have been since 2005, since the George W. Bush administration. And we have given them something like $550 million since that program started, and it's still ongoing today. The United States is giving equipment and possibly weapons and lots of money and sending trainers over here to train the presidential guard for Mahmoud Abbas. And one of those guys just went out and murdered 3 Israeli policemen with that training. Now, if that doesn't get you fired up, I don't know what will. If to know that your money is going to pay for that kind of shenanigans is enough to just make me want to set my hair on fire. So this is a huge issue, and I keep finding more and more ways that the United States is sending money, but I don't mind them sending money to support Israel. We need to be supporting Israel. We have obligations to support Israel. We have made treaties with Israel. Okay, we should live up to our word. As much as I don't like paying my taxes, if they got to spend it on something, I don't mind them spending it on Israel. But to be giving it at the same time to Israel's enemies, to fund them and help them recruit and wave of to come in here and commit shenanigans against Israel just makes my blood boil. And I think it should for you too. Now, let's see, we got I want to go on and talk about that some more, but first let's talk a little more about the intifadas. Whereas the first intifada involved stone throwing, protests, Molotov cocktails, things like that. The second one was a lot more militarized. The third one, if we're in a third one, is going to be marked by even more violence and a high-grade insurgency taking place coming out of this area right over here, surrounding Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and Hebron, the Palestinian communities in there. And this is, because of the news of the hostages that were killed and all that, this has kind of been missed by some of the media, or at least it's not top of the page where it would have been otherwise. But this operation that's ongoing in that area in the West Bank is coming up with a whole lot of Hamas stuff and people. And so if they get done vanquishing Hamas in Gaza, they're just getting started. They're going to have to go over here, and they're going to be dealing with this for a long time. But you heard me say several weeks ago, I expect there to be a wave of SV bids. IED, improvised explosives, and other stuff as well. I expect that is going to ramp up, and it looks like in the last 2 days, it has gotten very, very low. To support 3 of the 5 SV bids that were attempted to bring in here, and the other 2 that they weren't able to thwart went off and just by some miracle didn't kill them. Blew up a gas station where I got gas not at that station but out in that area just the other day. So the problem with this is Israel, the facing this kind of a threat. If Iran has been pumping materiel, military style weapons, explosives, ammunition, all that kind of stuff into the West Bank, Israel, Iran has been pumping that stuff in there, and they have a lot of it in there. They're going to be able to go bigger than they went last year. And that's what Iran wants. And Israel may have to end up doing to the West Bank what it's done to Gaza. And the enemy only has to be right once. Israel has to be right every time. And so there's a very good chance, given human nature, that Israel will not be right every time. And they will eventually see a horrific number of casualties from a SV bid or a. And when those things start going off in here, what happened during the second intifada was that nobody wanted to come to Israel because it's so hot. I mean, there were these things going off in coffee shops and laundry and everywhere, and the pizza places and all that stuff. So, you want to come sit in a coffee shop and something might go kablooey right next to you? I don't. I tell you what, everywhere I go around here now, I am hyper vigilant. I am watching. I'm like, okay, here's a big crowd.
I mean, look, I'll say it again to you. I have no issues if something in the Bible could be true based upon my criterion. Okay. Do I believe it's a reliable source of information that whatever this author says happened? No. Do I believe Matthew lied? Do I believe Matthew invented history? 100%. 100%. The author of Matthew just makes stuff up that in a vacuum, which doesn't appear, for example, King Herod killing the babies. There's no historical record of King Herod killing any babies in Bethlehem.
Okay.
It doesn't occur anywhere in history. So you would expect that if King Herod killed the babies of Bethlehem, we should have some record of this. There's no record of it. And guess what?
That is the record of it.
Okay. Where is the record of it? Gospel of Matthew.
You read it.
No, that's my whole point. Matthew says this monumental event occurred in history where King Herod was butchering babies 2 years and below in Bethlehem, yet the whole of history is silent upon it. No one else mentions it, yeah? And guess who should have mentioned it? You know who should have mentioned it? Your star witness, Flavius Josephus. Why? Why should Flavius Josephus have mentioned this? Because he wrote a book about all the atrocities King Herod committed. Okay. So your star witness, which I'll be cross-examining at this point.
All of this is assumptions.
Okay. Not assumptions. You have an historian who's writing a book about the atrocities of all the things that King Herod did, and yet he never mentioned anyone killing any babies.
Are you assuming it didn't happen?
I'm going to say I don't believe it happened. I don't think you have a justification to believe it happened.
So you're assuming it didn't happen. Okay.
All right. My brother, it's been real. I can't continue this conversation. You don't understand the words you use.
He's lying. You can tell he's lying straight up.
You said because I'm gonna show everybody your ignorance. You said because the Anbiya are dead, that means that Allah cannot tell them anything. When the Rasul is dead in his grave right now, and when we give salam to the Rasul, the angels come and give him knowledge. This is not updated knowledge. I'm teaching you on the religion. You know nothing. You know nothing. You think just because you speak Arabic, you're knowledgeable. You're not knowledgeable. You know nothing about it.
Okay. Let us see.
You know nothing about it.
Let us see this. What you just told me, because what you told me is a disaster. But I will not let you avoid the question I gave you.
Yeah, I already answered your question.
Let us make it simple. During their life, if he's dead, Allah will tell him. It's funny, but we will go there.
What?
But during their lifetime, if there is anyone beside Jesus, he knew the future.
Yeah, the Nabi knew the
Costume.
He knew علامات الساعة. He knew the signs of the next of the last day.